Hello, everyone. Welcome to Simply Delicious. This is Chris B. And today, what I'm going to make for you in this video is some smothered pork chops. Yum, yum, yum. Some smothered pork chops, some green beans, and some au gratin potatoes. So, we're cooking Sunday dinner, y'all. And also, I'm going to make a little bit of cornbread. I'm going to hook it up today, y'all. So let's get started with this video. All right. So what I have here is some pork steak that I bought from the store. Got a couple of those. And I have some green beans in a can. I have some potatoes that I have in water here. Oops, making a mess, Chris. Let me put this up this way like this. So I got some potatoes that I've cut up and I put them in some water and I'm just letting them soak to get some of the starch off of them. Okay. And the potatoes that I'm using today is a waxy potato, which is a red potato. Now waxy potatoes, they hold their shape. So when you're making an au gratin potato, it's best to use a waxy potato versus a starchy potato, like an Idaho potato. Idaho potatoes are better for baked potato, mashed potatoes, and so on, French fries, okay? But you want to use a red potato or Yukon Gold or something like that when you want to have something that's going, a potato dish that is going to hold its shape, okay? All right, and what we're gonna use the seasoning today is a little bit of red onion and some jalapeno, because y'all know I like my spice, okay? All right, so what we're gonna do first is we're going to turn this heat on underneath this skillet, okay? Get this going, all right? We heat that up real quick. And then I got my black skillet over here that's already seasoned and ready to go. And I'm going to align my potatoes in it. And I'm gonna show you something. I have this little handy dandy device that I'm gonna show you in just 1 second. Okay, everyone, so in this skillet that is getting nice and warm, I am going to take some unsalted butter. I'm just gonna cut it off right off my stick here. And it's frozen here. I'm gonna drop this into this skillet. Because remember I told you I don't like to waste dishes if I don't have to. So I'm gonna get this butter started with some olive oil. Here we go. Okay. So I'm gonna put some olive oil in here with this butter. Okay. That was about a teaspoon or so, okay? And all I'm gonna do is just let this come down and melt down, okay? I don't want it to cook. I want it to melt down. All right? And then what I'm gonna do here in this butter that's melting is I'm going to add some seasoning. So actually the skillet is hot enough. Let me just turn it on. All right, so I'm gonna add a little bit of onion powder. And I'm gonna add just a little bit of black pepper now because you don't want to be too heavy with it. Because pepper rather, gives off oil. And it will, you put too much in there to overtake it. So we don't want to do that. And let me find my garlic. Find my garlic powder in here. There we go. I'm going to add some of that to this oil, okay? Just a little bit, all right? So that was probably about a half a teaspoon of each one of those seasonings, plus about a tablespoon of this oil. And see how I'm doing it? I'm just stirring this around. I'm mixing this. Now this mixture here is going to go over my potatoes. Let me get my tops out of the way. I'll come back to those in a second. Okay. So I have this handy dandy salad spinner that I use here. So simple investment, but it's well worth it. Okay, and what I'm going to do with this, so here's the inside of it. This little basket comes out, okay, and it swings around in here to remove all the excess water. So what I'm going to do is pour these potatoes into here, okay. And I've already soaked them in water, okay, to get that starch off. Then what I'll do is just basically lift it up like this, okay, and I'm going to pour this excess water off. Then that way I don't lose my potatoes in there, okay. See how simple I did that? Okay, move the camera a little bit. All right, so then what I'm going to do is just put the top on here and secure it down. And then I'm just going to give it a little spin and get all the excess water off. Okay, so we got that off. Okay, that's good enough. We'll take this lid off. And my potatoes are pretty much dried off. Okay, we got the excess water off. See how much water came off of that when I poured that water out? So you just get rid of that. All right. All right, so then now what I'm going to do is just take these potatoes inside of this skillet here. Okay. And then I'm just going to line them up in the skillet. Okay, can y'all see that? All right, so I'm just going to just lay these in to the skillet because I'm going to put this in the oven. Okay. And so you just line them up however you want. Doesn't really matter. Start with one. And like I said, I already sliced these. And what I did was I sliced them up long ways and then I cut the ends off. Okay. And that's pretty much straightforward. All right. And they're all thicknesses. The thicknesses, I want them to be somewhat the same, but we know it's not going to be exact because I did it by hand. Now, if you have a mandolin or something like that, where you can, get more precise cuttings, that's fine. I just did it with my knife, with my chopping knife, okay? So y'all get the idea. So I'm just gonna layer this in like so. Okay, so when you get one layer in, and I'm gonna add some more olive oil to this, because I want that flavored oil to go through and get on every potato. Okay, so once I just stir this together with my wooden fork here, what I'm going to do is just put this here. Let's get some of this stuff out of my way. Okay, and then I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to kind of dab it in here like so, and just kind of brush this on. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it like so. Real simple, real quick. That's what I'm going to do. All right, so we're just going to do it like that. All right. See how we did that? And I'm doing it on one side, I know. All right, but we could roll them around here in the skillet like so. I'm not doing it that way, okay? I'm doing it this way. So you make yours, you can toss them all in a bowl, and actually that would make it much easier than what I'm doing right now. So put them inside a bowl, okay? But I'm just doing this because I feel like doing it this way, all right? So we'll take some more. And just throw a little dab of do you. Yeah, because it would be much easier if I just put this all into a bowl and poured this liquid over it and then just mixed it around by hand. It would have been much faster, but I didn't do it that way this time. And I'm gonna cut this one, this particular one down because it's too thick for me. We're gonna shade that down just a little bit. There we go. So I'll just dab the rest of this on here. And just pour all of that in here, okay? And when you're cooking, just understand that it's gonna be somewhat messy, okay? It's fine, all right? So you get the idea, all right? And so we're gonna just let this kind of like hang out for a minute and soak up all of that oil, okay? And that oil and butter and stuff, all right? So now with that going on in there, what we're gonna do now is add some more fresh oil into this skillet, bring it back up to the heat. Now I'm not gonna worry about those things because all that stuff is what I was gonna season my pork chops with, okay? And so I'm going to get this skillet going again. All right, we'll turn that on to medium heat. Oh, those potatoes, use all of them. Okay. So just rub those up against a couple of the other ones that's got oil already on them. All right. All right, so we got those going. And then in here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some vegetable oil. Okay. We add a little Crisco vegetable oil here. There we go. And we're gonna fry up our pork steaks. We're gonna fry them right on up. All right, so we got the oil going. And so while that's heating up, what I'm gonna do is season up my pork chops. Okay. Put you in the heater for a second. We'll wash it out in a second. All right, so we're gonna season up our meat. Okay, we're gonna do it right over the sink, okay, like so. All right, so I got onion powder here. Just gonna sprinkle that on first, okay. And then I'm going to use some, let's get those going. This time I want my Tony's, because I want a little kick with mine, okay? I like a little kick. So we're gonna put the garlic powder on next. Okay, and like I said, when you're seasoning, you have to season food to the way you want it, okay? So you add as less or more as you want. Just be very careful with the salt, in particular anything that has salt in it, because you don't want it to be salty. All right, so then I'm just gonna add a little bit of this Greek seasoning, just a little bit. All right, and then I'm gonna add some Tony's because I want some kick. Because both of these have salt, that's why I'm only going a little bit with each one. All right, just like so. And then with some wet hands, I want to just kind of like pat this a little bit so that the seasoning can stick. Okay, just like so. All right, kind of bring them together for a second so that the seasoning will stick. And then we'll do the same thing to the other side. All right, like I said, I keep soapy water on the side to wash my hands when necessary. Okay, so we're gonna do garlic powder. All right. And then we're gonna do onion powder. A little bit of Greek seasoning, just a little bit. See how I like that? I'm going with that and some Tony's. All right, just a little bit. Oh, and I really want more black pepper, even though the Greek seasoning has black pepper in it. I am a black pepper fan, so we're gonna do that. All right, so just gonna put that on there. Put some pepper on this side too. A little bit goes a long ways. Okay, see how I'm doing this, y'all? Now the one thing I did with my meat is I pulled my meat out of the refrigerator and let it sit out on the counter, okay? Because you want your meat to be somewhat at room temperature when you're cooking it, okay? And then I'm gonna add some flour in this pot here, okay? Because I'm utilizing everything I got. I'm gonna take, see there's some flour in here, and that's self-rising flour, and then I'm just gonna dredge this pork chop in it, okay? I'm just gonna turn it over until it gets all the crevices and everything, and give it a shake off, okay? Dredge this one in there too. Now I like to do these with my hands. I could do them with my tongs, but this is one I like to do with my hands when I'm doing pork chops, okay, or pork steaks in this particular case. All right, so the oil is somewhat warm, and those seasonings are in there starting to turn, so we don't want them to burn. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is turn this around, okay? And then now I'm just gonna add this into the skillet. All right. Slide that over. Put this one in. Now we're gonna give it a little bit more heat because we don't want it to boil. All right. So, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cook this on the each side for a few minutes. Okay. Just for a few minutes because we just want to get some color on them. We're not trying to cook them through because we're going to cook them inside of some gravy. Remember, these are going to be smothered pork steaks. All right. You're just going to cook them for a few minutes on each side. And that's going to be that. All right. And of course, I'm always cleaning as I go, so I don't have so much work to do. So I'm already cleaning my board here. And I'm leaving this in the video because I want you all to get some tips, you know, to help you if you don't already do it. This is some stuff that you can add to your repertoire to make things easier and make them a lot of fun, okay? Because I love to cook, especially when I have time, all right? So then, like I said, like this is going, I'm gonna give it a little bit more heat. Okay. Because again, I wanted to really do some crisping up a little bit. Okay. So we got that going. All right. And those potatoes are over there in that pan. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add cheese sauce to those potatoes. And I'm gonna make some more. I made cheese sauce in the previous video, but I'm gonna make some tonight for my au gratin potatoes. Okay. Get my favorite tool, which is my tongs. All right, so let's get in there. Get in there. Let's get that going. And you want a nice big skillet where you can put your meat in. So if you don't have a nice big skillet, buy one. Okay, it'll be worth it to you. And this particular one is a non-stick skillet, so they're not too expensive. And I just want a little color on them. So see, I just wanted to kind of be brown like that. Just want to cook that flour on each side. All right, just like so. And these pork steaks are thick. Oh, indeed. Now, I didn't trim the fat on mine, but if you want to, make sure that you trim yours up and do whatever it is you feel like you need to do. Okay. I didn't trim mine off because I see that I like the flavor of the fat, number one. And then number two, if I want it off, I can trim it off later while I'm eating it with my knife. So I don't necessarily have to do that now, but it's totally up to you, you know, how you do it, okay? All right, so let me put my seasonings away and we'll be back. Okay, in this pot, I have some equal amounts of butter and flour combined and melted together. So I'm just cooking them together, and this is the base of my cream, of my cheese sauce. And to this, I'm going to add some more heat. I had to turn it down a second. So you don't want it to burn. You want it to be nice and bright and just come together and cook the flour real quick. Okay. And so what I had in here is a couple of tablespoons of flour and butter mixed. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add milk in. And this is a 12-ounce can of evaporated milk. Okay, so I'm just going to add that in there. Okay, and then what's going to happen is this is going to start thickening up. Okay, all right, so we'll just let that come together. And this is the beginning of our cheese sauce. Now, when you're making cheese sauce, that's your base, and then you add whatever cheese you want. Okay, in this particular case, I'm going to add some mozzarella cheese, and I'm going to add some Tuscan blend cheese, which is Romano, Parmesan, and Asiago cheese, because I want a white cheese sauce. So you can make yours however you want, okay? All right, and also in this particular one, I'm going to add some of this cream cheese that I have as well on hand. It's very good. And this is what I put in my baked potatoes, but it's whipped chive, so I'm going to add that as well. Okay. All right. So again, you can make your cheese sauce however you want. And I know earlier in the video I showed you with my potatoes, in the skillet, and I was like dabbing with the oil that I made. But this is the way I normally do it: is I put it into a large bowl, and then I'll just drizzle on a little bit of olive oil, real light, like so. And then what I'll do is I'll shake the potatoes around, kind of toss them around in my bowl like this, okay, until it's coated on every side. And then what you can do is add in your seasoning, okay. All right, so I'm gonna put these potatoes back into the skillet here. I'll make sure I turn this down because you gotta watch your milk. All right, because the one thing you don't want it to do is burn. Okay, so be very mindful of that. So, and in here I have garlic powder and onion powder, and I added a little bit of salts to it too. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna line that up in here. And actually, yeah, I put that on there, but let me add just a little bit of salt, actual regular salt. Because the one thing with potatoes is they absolutely need salt, but you don't want it to be salty, okay? So let me add just a little bit of salt. Okay. And then I'm just going to kind of toss that around a little bit, so make sure it's in there on everything. All right, and then we're just gonna put these potatoes into this skillet. And you can line them up however you want. You don't have to be specific about it. And actually what I'm gonna do is, I'm not gonna try to make it pretty, I'm just gonna drop them all in there like so. All right, because we're gonna soak it down and bake it down, and then we can kind of stand these up a little bit around the edges. I'll make some of them stand up. How about that? Alright, so because I have quite a bit of potato here. Alright, something like that, okay? Alright, so I got them in there like so. I'm going to put a little bit of this cheese, well, I'm going to add this cheese sauce to it. And then we're going to be good to go when the cheese sauce is done. Okay? And so while this is slowly thickening up here, I'm gonna go ahead and add some of this cream cheese in here. Well, actually, I'm gonna kind of stir it a little bit. I always like that. So I love this cream cheese with chives in it. It's very good. Simple, but really, really good. And I got this long potato that's to fill down inside my grates here. All right, so we'll just throw those off to the side instead of into the stove. All And I'm just waiting for this milk to thicken up, so I'm gonna give it a little bit of heat so I can kind of speed it up here, since I got my eyes on it to watch it. Be cooking in this kitchen, y'all. All right. Okay, so this has been cooking for a few minutes, and just so you know, I added a little bit of water. I only have 1 can of evaporated milk left, and I wanted this to be a little bit more cheese sauce. So what I did is I added a little bit of water to it, and I added about half a can of water. So this 12 ounce, so about 6 ounces of water I added in here. And you see how this is starting to boil up, okay? And it's still nice and creamy, okay? And then so when it coats the back of your spoon like this, then you know that it's pretty much there at the thickness that we wanted, okay? And don't worry about the water. The water's not going to hurt anything because we're adding plenty of flavor in here. So I did add just a little bit of salt, okay, in this case, because I added that water, okay? So since the water kind of took away from the milk, even though the milk is still here and it's still going to be creamy, it kind of thinned out the milk of its consistency. Does that make sense? So when you wash away some of that, it'll take some of the flavor of the milk away. And so I added salt to bring it back. Okay, so now that this is thickening up nicely the way I want it, okay, I'm gonna turn this heat off, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start adding cheese into this mix. So let me get my mozzarella cheese out as well. And okay, so I'm just gonna pour this Asiago Parmesan in here, and those are the hard cheeses that's been cut up. I'm gonna add some of this dry Parmesan Reggiano cheese as well in here. Okay, I'm just gonna add that in there, and then we'll add some mozzarella because I want it to be nice and gooey. But now, like I said, you can add whatever kind of cheese you want. Okay, you just want to get a small whisk and whisk it around. Okay, so this white cheese sauce is coming together. All right. Yep, it's coming right on together. You see how I just added that? See how thick it is? All right, so we're just gonna whisk this together. And you want to do that once your milk come up to the boil. The trick to it is you want to make sure that you're continuously stirring the milk so that it doesn't scald and stick to the bottom of the pan. All right, and then I'll just go side to side. All right, this cheese sauce smells good to me. All right, so that's good for me. And this is these potatoes are heavily seasoned with garlic, so that's why I'm not adding any of that into it. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of jalapenos in here, and then I'm going to add some chopped onion because I want more onion. So I want the flavoring of it in the powder, and then I want the actual vegetable in it as well. Okay, and then if it gets too thick, add a little bit more water to it. And you would have added too much cheese, you know, just improvise. So I'm gonna add a little bit of onion in here, like so. Little flecks of onion, and then we're gonna add some black pepper to the cheese sauce. Little specks of it if I can locate my pepper. Apparently it's hiding from me right now. Where are you, black pepper? Because I don't have time for this. Okay, really? What is going on here? I know y'all probably thinking I'm cracking up, but oh, there it is. All right, so I got a lot of stuff out in the kitchen right now. So, all right, so this cheese sauce has really thickened up, And I want to take my spoon here and show it to you. See how thick that is? So that's why I added that water. I guess a little bit goes a long way. Okay. Then of course you want to do a taste test to make sure that it tastes the way you want it to taste. All right. But that is perfectly thick and it's pourable. All right. If it wasn't, then I would adjust. Okay, so if it was too thick, in other words, I would add some. That's good. You do need some salt. It's a little bit bland. Okay. So I'm gonna stir that salt in there. And oh, let me add my cream cheese in here too. Just a little bit for flavoring, okay? You ain't got to use it all, but you know, we'll make it work, make it do what it do. All right. So there's my cheese sauce, y'all. Y'all saw me make that from scratch. Okay. And let's see, let's give it another taste. It's on the finger, let's see. Okay. It's still missing something. So what I need in it is a little bit of acid. So I'm gonna add a little bit of vinegar to it. That's gonna kind of give it a different wang here. And okay, we're gonna stir that in. And it's definitely gonna need some more salt. But we just don't have enough. Okay, so you can always add, but you can't hardly take stuff out. Okay, so it's better to just add a little bit and try it again. Ooh, okay. Now that's starting to get there. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some bacon to this as well. Okay. I'm gonna add some bacon in, and then we're gonna get our potatoes going. So we're gonna set the oven. I forgot to do that. Set the oven for 400 degrees. Get that going. Gonna add this bacon in there. It's all the bacon I got left, so now I gotta get some more. All right, so we're just gonna stir that around. All right, and it's got that garlic over here in those potatoes. And then, so now what we gonna do is just put this on. How about that? All right, let's get this out of the way. Y'all can see me. Let me pull this over so you can see it better. Okay, so I'm just gonna pour this over it. And this is going to cook down into the potatoes. And remember, this is au gratin potatoes. And this is the way I make them on Simply Delicious, okay? You don't have to use all of it, okay? Just put enough in there to coat the top, because what's gonna happen is it's gonna cook down in there. All right, so that's our prep, and then we'll show you the finished product of that, all right? All right, y'all, so our pan is back on for our pork steaks. And so here's the result of the pork steaks being cooked on both sides for just a few minutes. Now these are not done, okay? So they're very thick, as you can see, but they're not done because we're gonna smother them in gravy. So I took them out of the pan that I was cooking them in, poured the oil off, and I measured it out, and it's roughly about 12 teaspoons of oil here. So I have an equal amount of flour here to make the gravy, all right? So what I'm gonna do is, with the drippings the small drippings that were in the pan, and I got this pan nice and warm, I'm gonna go ahead and drop these onions and jalapenos in here. Those are not bell peppers. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of saute these just for a moment, okay, in this oil that's just barely in this pan, okay? And then we're gonna bring this up high so we go ahead and cook it today because I want to cook it relatively quick so we can get this going. All right. So I'm just sauteing the onions real quick to get them to become fragrant, or otherwise I can really smell them strongly. Okay. Now once that's up, because I don't want them to necessarily get brown. All right, but I'm just going to kind of cook them real quick here. And then what I'm going to do while that's coming together, I'm going to add this oil that has cooled off to the side here back in. Okay, I don't need all of that part. Okay. Okay, that's nothing but the flour, the cooked flour. So adding all that oil in there. I know it looks like a lot of oil, but I'm making a lot of gravy. Hello, somebody. So what I do is I go from high to low. So I got my heat basically up on high, and I'm really controlling it. I'm stirring it around, cooking those onions and jalapenos in this oil, letting them infuse into the oil because I want their flavor in there, their essence. Okay, there ain't nothing about cooking unless you got it delicious, and the only way it's gonna be delicious, you gotta cook it with some purpose. All right, so I'm just frying those in that oil. Y'all see that? Okay. All right, and then what I'm gonna do is, once it's starting to get a little bit brown, okay, I'm gonna push all those vegetables to one side. Okay, and kind of turn my pan down so I can bring more oil over to the other side. So even this stuff out, and then what we're gonna do is just let them, as soon as it start getting some brownness to it, then I want to start adding this flour. Okay, and I'm not gonna just dump it all into the skillet like that. No, we're not gonna do that. Okay, so we're just gonna start sprinkling it in. Just letting it cook with these. See? Just like that. Take your time. You got nowhere to go until it's done. Okay. And so you want to cook it and get it nice and brown. Now I've seen people make gravy, and you know, everybody got their way of making it. This is the way I do it. You know, I learned how to do it at home. And of course I've developed my own technique of doing it over the years. Okay, but my family would just simply, you know, would just kind of like work that in there. And see, it's going to start kind of like drying out. Okay, which is fine, because what the flour is doing is absorbing all of that oil. Okay, see, it seemed like it was a lot of oil, but it don't seem like it was that much now, right? It all kind of seemed like crumbs or whatever. Okay, so we'll just dump the rest of that in there. We want to use everything. So my oven is now hot. Okay, stir this around just a little bit. And I'm gonna let this get brown. And now it's over high heat. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put these potatoes that we prepared earlier into the oven. Look at the sheet. And that's in a cast iron skillet, and I use that because you can cook it on top of the stove and in the oven. Okay, all right, so we're just gonna cook this until it start cooking down. Okay, and then now what I'm gonna do, and that flour, just so that you know, was the same flour plus a little bit extra of the flour that I had earlier when I was dredging the pork steaks. So nothing goes to waste, okay? Nothing at all. All right, so I'm just kind of like got this on high. Y'all can see I got it on high. And so it's pretty much come together. And it's slightly brown, all right? So you wanna get ready. Let me get my that pepper. No, it gets to me. Let me get the whisk now. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do with the paddle for right now. All right, and then now what I'm going to do is add water in here. Just add a little bit at a time and pull it together. And just see how I'm doing that? Just a little bit at a time. Okay. Now the longer you cook your flour in the oil, the browner your gravy is going to be. Okay? It's just a matter of how you like your gravy to be. And see how it just clumps up? Don't worry about all that. It looks all doughy and look a mess, but trust me, it's not. Just keep your heat on high. Just add a little bit of water at a time and just kind of whisk it in. Okay, and you add enough water to it until it gets to the thickness that you want. Okay. Now this is how I do it. Okay. And then the funny thing about this is I used to like mix all the flour and water together and just put it in a hot pan. It's totally up to you. You can do it however you want, but this is how I'm doing it. Okay. All right, so it looks white, but don't worry about it because it's on high. It's gonna cook down. And then the funny part about it is it's gonna be so smooth. You're gonna be like, really? That looked a mess earlier. But just keep working your whisk in and then just whisk down the flour into the water until it incorporates, okay? I know some people are like, I don't want my gravy all that white and everything. Well, you know, again, you cook yours how you want to, okay? The coloring is just basically how long you cook the flour in the oil and making sure it's nice and hot. But you see how smooth it's starting to come out all of a sudden? Now I can tell you right now I'm gonna have to add some more water because I don't want mine too thick. I want it to be a certain viscosity. And you have to make your gravy the way you want to, okay? But it's pretty much, yep. It's coming together now. So what I'm gonna do now is add a little bit more hot water, I might add. This water that I'm adding here is not cold, okay, it's hot water. All right, so it's percolating away. All right. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. The browner your gravy is, the better it's gonna taste. I don't know why that is, it's just what it is, okay? The more caramel it is, the better it's gonna taste. So you let your stuff come together, but I like mine like this because I don't make mine extra dark because I'm gonna cook it for a while and let it hang out. Okay, because that, remember, the meat is not done. It's only cooked on the outside. Okay, so there we go. We have a consistency now that I can work with it, all right? See how nice and smooth that is, y'all? I'm gonna bring the camera in so you can see it. Okay. It looks velvety to me. Okay. All right, so let's see. Can we bring you in a little closer? All right, can y'all see that? See when I stir it in the center here, how nice and thick it is, but yet it's nice and pourable, and it's oh so good. Okay. So then all I'm gonna do now is let this cook for a minute and on high, and then I'll add the sauce when it comes up to a boil. Okay, so the gravy is boiling. All right. Now, to those of you that don't like your gravy this color, like I said again, cook the flour longer until it gets nice and brown, and then you can, you know, add your water. Okay. But this color here is good for me. Another trick you can use is you can buy some of this stuff called browning sauce, or you can use soy sauce in the place of salt. And either one of those would work. And you can change the color of your gravy. All right. So now I'm just adding these these pork steaks rather, into it, making sure they're nice and covered with the gravy. And you notice that I haven't added any seasoning. Okay, I'm trying not to make a mess. Oops. Okay, but this is real cooking. When you're really cooking, sometimes you're gonna make a mess, all right? You just gotta be ready to clean up. All right, that's why I keep that soapy water on the side. But nevertheless, the jalapenos in here are nice and spicy, okay, for me. So now I'm just making sure that these pork steaks got plenty of this gravy to cover it, all right? And then when it comes up to the boil, like you see it percolating right now, then what you can do is just turn it down to low and leave it alone and let it just hang out until it gets nice and soft and just wow, oh so good. So we got those pretty much covered. Y'all see how nice and thick it is. It's got a few bumps in here and there, but it's relatively smooth. Okay. And so we'll just let it hang out. All right, we'll be back. Okay, so we're gonna make our cornbread while our smothered pork steaks are going. So what I have here is about 1.5 cups of Aunt Jemima cornmeal mix, and I'm gonna take about a capful of oil here, and that's about maybe a teaspoon and a half or something like that. Then I'm going to take 1 egg, crack this in here. All right, throw this right in the garbage while I'm here. Okay, and then what we're going to do is turn the hot water on so it can get nice and hot. And then I'm going to add a little bit of sugar to it, not much. Maybe a teaspoon or 2. All right. Then we get a fork. And start whipping this together. Whipping that egg right into it, the meal and stuff. All right, and then we're going to add our hot water. And just add just enough to get it moving first. Okay. And I would say I'm probably adding about 1/2 cup, I guess. Let's see. Here we are. Yeah, about 1/2 cup. I want to make sure that all the cornmeal is moistened. Okay. Make sure it's all nice and moist. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is mix that around real good. You can see now that cornmeal mix already has the leaveners in it, so I didn't need to add any baking soda or baking powder or anything like that because it's already in it. All right, so it's kind of thick and clumpy like right now. And I'm gonna add a little bit more water to it to make it more homogeneous. I just want it to be to a point where I can pour it out easily. Okay. So you just add enough water to it to get it to that point. Now, what I would normally do, which I'm not doing this particular time, is I would put the oil in the pan. I'm just gonna cook it in this casserole dish. I would usually, put the oil in the pan and allow it to get nice and hot before I would add it to the cornbread, but I omitted that step this time. Okay, so I'm just kind of letting this oil just kind of run around here in this pan. Okay, Just stir it very slowly. And then just add this into the small pan, because I'm only making a small amount. I'm not making a whole lot here. Okay. But the trick to all of this is that you want to make sure that all of that cornmeal is saturated with liquid. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna kind of just like tap that out with the fork like that. And you have to give it room to rise, because remember, it's got leaveners in it, so it's gonna do that. All right. So our cornbread is prepared. Now I set my timer to, because I usually let my potatoes cook anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. Okay. So it's set at 400 degrees, okay? So I'm just gonna keep a watchful eye on it. But when the timer gets down to about 20 minutes, that's when I'm gonna stick this cornbread in there. Then that way, you can kind of have everything done at the same time and coming out nice and hot and ready to go. Make sense? So when you're cooking, one of the things that you wanna do is make sure that you watch your times. You know, I would cook things individually first to see how long it takes me to cook something from start to finish. And then I would write that time down to make sure that I'm keeping track of how long it takes me to do that, okay? Once you find out how long it takes you to do that, then you can start determining what you're gonna start with, because obviously you wanna start cooking the thing that takes the longest to cook, and then work your way down to the thing that takes the least amount of time. Then that way your entire meal can be done at the same time and hot, okay? So that's a tip for you, all right? So, but as much stuff as you can prepare, and you just want to keep going. You don't want to make something and let it finish and then go into trying to cook something altogether separate and wait its time. That'll take you hours to do, and that doesn't make sense. All right, so just make sure that you time your food out, okay? All right, everybody, so everything is done. All right, so we'll give you the view of what's happening here. All right, come on in, look close. Okay. All right, so we got our smothered pork steaks right here. Let me cut this timer off. Smothered pork steaks right here. And if you look in, see how I've cooked this and the gravy has gotten darker. Okay, the longer it cooks, the more it's going to get darker. I like to be able to, I like a light brown gravy, but you can have yours dark brown, that's up to you. But you notice how light it was earlier when I initially started it up, okay? But as it cooks down, it's going to get darker and darker, okay? Now normally I cook my meat until the fork goes straight through with ease, with no resistance, because I like it of that tenderness. Then I have some green beans here that I just took out of the can. I didn't fresh pick them out of a garden or anything like that. But I took them out of the can, heated them up in the microwave for a couple minutes, and just put some salt and pepper on those, okay? All right, and then here's the gratin potatoes. Look at how good they turned out. There's our gratin potatoes, and look at the cornbread sitting back there, and I just put some butter on top of it and let it melt into that cornbread. So here's our finished product. So I'm gonna put this up, I'm gonna plate it up, and then we're gonna see what I've done, okay? So let me just plate it up, y'all. All right, so we'll start here with the cornbread. I'll take a corner, okay? Because I like corners. When that cornbread is nice and soft. Okay. Cut it across this way. And let's just do it like this. Wide. All right, so let me get my plate here. I'm going to take some of these green beans and put them on the plate. A few green beans here. And then we're going to go in and get some of this cornbread. Put that off to the side. Okay. And then we're going to take our spoon and go into these potatoes. Look at that, look at that, look at that. Goodness. Okay, so we're gonna put some of that over here to the side. Yummo. And so I can really smell that garlic. And then we're gonna take, because these pork steaks are on the bone, so I'm gonna take the knife and just cut through, because these are some huge ones. This amount of food will actually easily serve 4 people. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna cut through that. I'm gonna take our piece of pork steak here, just put it in with that, like so. Okay. Then we're gonna come in here and gather up some of this gravy. And what I did last, y'all, just so you know, I added salt. I always add salt last to my gravy. I let it cook down real good, and the last thing I'll do is I'll add salt to taste, and just add it enough of it to it until it's where I want it to be as far as taste is concerned. Okay. All right, so we got all that there. All right. That cornbread in here. Yep. And let's see here. What am I missing? Oh, I got everything. All right. So, of course, I'm gonna let my meat continue to cook because I like it to just fall apart off the bone. All right. All right, y'all. So I'm going to test everything for you and give you another view of what's on my plate before I dig in. All right. So there we go. Here's our pork steak and our gratin potatoes, and we got some green beans and a little bit of cornbread. Okay. All right. Of course, I put a little parsley on here just to make it look nice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my steak knife here, and I'm going to dig in. Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna cut a little bit of this steak. Okay, cut into these potatoes. Get some of those. Let's try the potatoes first. Okay, so got a little potato and green bean here. Now, I know y'all gonna think I'm just making this stuff up, but I really am not. These potatoes are perfectly seasoned. They are soft, and yet they're holding up on their own. Oh my God, these potatoes are so good. The cheese sauce is in there nice and thick. It's nice and creamy. Okay. Of course, green beans are good by themselves. And then my meat here. So nice and tender. Got the right amount of salt in it. Let's see how I did on the cornbread. The cornbread is good. It's not dry at all. Now you have that dry. Have you ever had cornbread that was dry and it gets caught in the back of your throat? You cough like, ugh. Nobody likes cornbread like that. That's disgusting. That's like sawdust. But this cornbread is nice and moist. I cooked it for a total of 20 minutes. So you cook it anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how your oven get. But see how cake-like it is? Very good. The only thing I would have done, I like my cornbread a little bit sweeter. So I could have put a little bit more sugar in it, not much, but it's good though. But this pork steak is perfectly tender. It's got a little bit of a chew to it. Of course, I still have it cooking in the background because I was anxious to go ahead and try this and get it started to taste it for you. But the longer you cook it, the more tender it's going to become and just basically just fall apart off that bone. But you can see, this is so good. This is Sunday dinner 101, okay? Smothered pork steak, Gratin potatoes made from scratch, green beans and cornbread. This is a meal of champions, okay? I want to encourage you to try my recipes that you saw me make today. These potatoes are just, they're heavenly, okay? And when you try it out, please leave me a comment. Tell me what you think once you've tried it out, okay? But I'm telling you right now, I'm eating like a champ right now. Folks that's got maids and eating so-called finest of food is not eating better than me right now. They're just not. My food is simple. My food is delicious. And it's worth the time of investment of cooking it. All right? You know the food is good when you just wanna, you don't wanna waste time. My goodness. I just got a little taste of it because, again, this is for tomorrow. So it's done right now. This is freshly cooked food. And it's the bomb right now. It's only gonna get better because tomorrow, when I eat it again, the seasonings will be even settled even more. And it'll be even more tastier than it is right now. Oh my goodness. I told y'all, it's dangerous for me to be in the kitchen. Cause look at that meat. You see that? So that's perfectly done. Y'all see that? Nice and tender. Oh my goodness gracious. This is not a meal you want to eat like this every day, because to those of you that are diabetic, this is a lot of starch. So you want to be very careful with that. And you want to be, eat your food in moderation. Obviously I got gravy and I have potatoes, and bread, which is a double starch. Okay? I'm well aware of that. But this is not something I'm eating every day. Not like this, but once a week, maybe twice a week. That's in moderation. And that's all right with me. This is so good. I wish you all were here to have some of it with me. But you definitely can try it. Try to follow suit and cook it the way you saw me do it. I said I do it, and so you might forgive me. You saw the way that I did it, so make sure you try it, okay? Very good. Thank you for watching Simply Delicious. This meal is just that. And please like, share, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thank you. Until next time, be blessed.